This is Cars and Bids, and today I'm going to give you some tips for selling your car, some tips to maximize the amount of money you make on your car sale, and just some general tips to make sure that your sale on Cars and Bids goes as smoothly and as well as possible. I have only 3 tips to make sure that your sale is fantastic and wonderful, just 3, and today I'm going to share them with you. Okay, so let's get started here with tips on how to maximize your sale. Like I said, 3, that's it. If you can do these 3 things, you will have a great sale. Ask anybody who has sold cars with us in the past who has done them. Just 3. And I'm gonna start with tip number 1, which is good photos and good video. Please, please take good pictures. Good pictures sell cars. I cannot stress this enough. People are buying the car, in a lot of cases, they're buying it online from far away. I haven't seen it before. They need to see good pictures to give them a great idea of how it looks. This minimizes the chance that they're gonna show up and be like, this didn't look like this, whatever, I'm upset. Good pictures are crucial. The more you take, the better. The better quality pictures you take, the better. Pictures sell cars, period. Some people take 200 plus photos, high quality, high resolution, and that gets them lots more money. Do not take 30 pictures of your car in your driveway facing into the sun and we can see your shadow in the photo, and then 30 more pictures of the interior in terrible light and say, well, I'm done. That's it. I took my pictures. Do it at the right time. Get a professional photographer, which we offer. It's a service we offer to sellers when you're selling your car. A pro photographer can come to your house for a small fee, take pictures, and you will get that feedback and much more due to the photo quality. We have people who sell their cars on Cars and Bids, and they're like, no, I took 40 photos, 50 photos, I'm done, just get it listed. I took my 50 pictures now, just get it going. And it's like, dude, are you trying to sell the car and make money? Or are you just trying to get rid of it and have it not meet the reserve because your pictures don't adequately make people excited or even show enough about the car to let people know what it is? And in some cases, we do run the auction. People have sort of just a bare minimum amount of pictures and the car doesn't sell, or it sells for just the reserve amount and no higher. And me and my team are like, well, you get what you deserve. You know, if you had taken good pictures, if you had created interest in the car, you could have done better. Photos are truly everything. And I have personally killed listings before that we really wanted. Cars that would have been great, that would have done really well on the site. I have personally killed those listings because we couldn't convince the seller that he needed better pictures in order to sell the car. No, just get it listed. I took 30 pictures, interior and exterior, just get it listed. And I've told my team, no, forget it. Refund the person. We are not taking that car. It looks bad to us if we take a car that is poorly presented, and it's just not going to bring a good result. And then people are going to look at our site and say, oh, they don't get good money, when in reality, the seller was not cooperative, wouldn't take good pictures. Forget it. I don't want that. The car will not sell if it doesn't look, professional, well done, well photographed. That's what you want. There's no point in trying. And plus, if someone is only willing to take a small number of pictures, whatever, you kind of know they have a bad attitude, they're not willing to really put in the effort. So you wonder what kind of seller are they going to be like during the auction when people are asking them questions. And it's video too. We don't require a video in our listings, but I try to impress upon every seller, take a video. Unless the car is like a 200-mile, C8 Corvette or Shelby GT500, people kind of get it. But take a video of any used car with a startup. People want to see a cold start. They want to hear it run. They want to see it drive. Again, people are buying these cars from far away. They want to have good peace of mind. And if you take 200 high quality professional photos and have 2 or 3 videos, a walk around the exterior, walk around the interior, a cold start, a driving, I know it's a lot of work. I get it. It takes some time, but that will absolutely get you top dollar value for the car. You will get all the money if the car is well presented. So photos, videos, that is my tip number 1. Okay, next up, tip number 2. Be a good seller when the auction is live. Be active. During the auction, your auction, you will get comments and questions and whatever from people. And be active. I always tell people when they're buying a used car, they're not buying the car, they're buying the seller. I always say to people, you're buying the seller. And the sellers with bad attitudes are bad. They make you think that their car is bad. They are shady. They make you think their car is going to be shady or have concealed flaws or whatever. Unresponsive sellers are bad. Sellers with bad attitudes are bad. And there is a direct correlation between bad sellers, bad attitudes, and low sale rate, low number of bids, and low total final price. I have bought cars online before, and I have happily walked away from cars where the seller has been kind of shady or sketchy. In my opinion, if the seller is sketchy, then so is the car. Even if it isn't. If the seller is sketchy, then the car is sketchy, and I want no part of it. Sellers sometimes get annoyed because people ask them a bunch of questions or complain about their grammar or whatever, and that's kind of annoying. But I totally get it. If the seller is using the letter U to say you, or R to say R, they're careless about their language, maybe they're a little lazy, you gotta wonder, what else are they careless about? The condition of the car, perhaps. That's something you think about. And are they not disclosing? You know, they're not good sellers who are very responsive and write well and type well, who respond quickly to comments throughout the auction. They are the ones who get all the money. And also, just disclose everything. Disclose the flaw of the cars. The buyer's gonna find it out anyway. And buyers or potential buyers who see a seller disclose, hey, it leaks a little here, hey, it's got a little dent here, buyers feel like they can feel comfortable with that seller then. When you have a seller who's clearly concealing stuff or who's not being very forthcoming about the condition, it just turns buyers off. And there are some, car dealers who are like, oh, I don't want to tell them that, then they won't buy it. Well, the truth is, a lot of times people can spot this stuff anyway, and when they show up, if they see it, they're not going to buy it anyway. So just disclose everything. It gives people good peace of mind. It makes them feel good about everything. And so those two are huge tips. Take good photos, take good videos, and be active. If you're just a good seller in those capacities, I understand it takes time to take photos, it takes time to take videos, it takes time to reply to people, but it will maximize your result. It will get you as much money as possible. And just getting it listed and having you not respond or whatever, it's not going to get you a good result. Finally, number 3 tip I have for being a good seller, for selling your car on Cars and Bids: be reasonable about what it's worth and consider no reserve. I'm going to start with be reasonable about what it's worth. If you really want to sell a car, you have to be reasonable about what it's worth. I handle a lot of the submissions that come into Cars and Bids, and some people are just so high on what they think the car is worth that they're going to be stuck with it forever. And we've had people who submit a car to us 6 or 10 months ago who want a certain reserve. We say no, we go our separate ways, and 10 months later they come back and say, hey, have you reconsidered? And it's like, you've been trying to sell this car for almost a year. It isn't us. We're not the problem. You have unrealistic expectations about what the car is worth. And frankly, I find that so many people are just irrational about what their car is worth. Admittedly, it's fewer now than it was when we first launched. People were trying to protect themselves when we first launched. They weren't sure we'd be getting good values. And also right now the market is hot and people kind of see that. And so we get more cars and agree more frequently on values. But a few tips for reserve setting and pricing your car. Number 1, your reserve price is not your asking price. We frequently, every day, we get people submitting a car to us, and you Google the VIN and you find the very same car for sale on AutoTrader, Car Gurus with the reserve price as their asking price on AutoTrader. And it's like, that's not how this works. Your reserve price is the very minimum amount of money that you expect to take for a car. Your asking price on AutoTrader is probably the maximum you could ever dream of getting. And if you've got the car listed on AutoTrader with that maximum and you're not getting any bites, we probably won't take it as a minimum. Just something to think about. And sometimes on this note, we get sellers who absolutely get fixated on the reserve price. They're so fixated. The car comes in, they think it's worth $50,000. They ask for $50,000 reserve. We offer $45,000 and they just freak out. My car is not worth $45,000. I'll never sell it for $45,000. You're the worst people in the world. How can you do $45,000 for my car? It's worth $50,000. And I'm thinking, first off, cars almost never sell for exactly their reserve prices. It'd be hard to even make that work. But I'm also sitting there thinking, with good photos and a good attitude, that would sell for like $52,000. And by the way, you don't have a good attitude, so I'm not going to come up on my reserve. But the point is, you don't have to. The reserve price is not necessarily the selling price. It should just be the minimum you're willing to take. And some sellers just get tunnel vision and think, if I set the reserve at X amount, it will sell for X amount. It's not always the case. Often cars sell for well above their reserve. We are surprised at least once every single day by cars going much higher than their reserve that we never predicted. And so just keep that in mind. Reserve is the minimum that you would be willing to accept, not some maximum retail value. If you got 5 cars like yours on AutoTrader at 50 and you want a 52 reserve, it just ain't gonna happen. We're not gonna get there. Don't get mad at us when we try to use logic. And when it comes to selling a car and pricing it, I truly believe that more sellers should consider no reserve, especially for cars that are commonly sold, that values are pretty accepted for. You have a good idea of what it's going to get to, but we've generally found that no reserve gets more bids and more interest and more clicks and more money in the end. And I've convinced several of my friends to sell cars no reserve by showing them the data, and they've done it, and they've all been truly happy with the results. And I think that there's something there. And I've sold my cars on the site with no reserve. Obviously, I can get a little bit more traffic to my cars because I've got my social media following, whatever, but I generally find that no reserve is a good way to go. And there are some good examples of this. For instance, this 2000 Honda Prelude sold with no reserve, 66,000 miles, automatic transmission, green, and with no reserve, it sold for $15,000. Okay, a couple weeks later, this Honda Prelude comes to us. Same generation, 61,000 miles, also green, also automatic, but the seller insists on a reserve. And I begged him. I said, please go no reserve. You will get more. Look at this result. This car just sold for no reserve. He said, no, I must have a reserve. And his car sold for $10,000. Now, I admit it's a little bit older, but same gen, same mileage, you know, same color, same transmission, everything the same. And he got 50% less money. Now, I can't guarantee you're going to get 50% more money if you sell no reserve. Generally, I think it's a few percentage points higher, but it's still real money. And I get that there's a risk there, but especially on cars like a Prelude, like an S2000, the risk is not that dramatic. And it's funny, we still get sellers coming in and saying, oh, well, what if it sells for $500? I'm nervous about that. And we had this just a couple days ago on a BMW wagon. We have sold now 40 BMW wagons, and they have all gone for good prices. Sellers have all been happy with our BMW wagons. We've kind of become a place to sell 5 Series and 3 Series wagons. It's become like a big thing. But here we have a seller of one a couple days ago. He was still nervous. He said, well, what if it sells for $500? I'm like, dude, there's 150,000 users on Cars and Bids who will be watching. It's not like one is just going to slip through the cracks at $500. The car has value. It will get to its value. I was thinking to myself, you know, if the car is at $500, I will buy it. And a lot of other people have the same thought as well, of course. It's just not going to happen. 150,000 users aren't going to randomly miss one 2011 BMW wagon selling for $500, but it could get you more. So that's it. Those are my tips. It's just those. That's all. Three tips to be a great seller on Cars and Bids. Take great photos. Use our photo service to take great photos. It'll delay your auction by a few days or maybe a week or two, but it is such a big benefit. Take good videos. Be an active seller. Reply to people. Talk to people. Answer their questions. Type well. And just be realistic about what your car is worth. You know, come to us. A lot of people waste weeks on reserve back and forth discussions. We'll say, oh, you know, I want 50, I'm about 45. Now 49, we'll be like, oh, well, forget it. And then a couple weeks later, they come back. Oh, how about 48? A couple weeks later, they come back. And it's just like, you're wasting your time. Be realistic, get the car sold, have a realistic number, and consider no reserve. But that's it. That if you do those things, every seller who has done those things has been happy with his results and had great sales on Cars and Bids. And if you're looking to sell on Cars and Bids, do the same. That will make you a great seller and you will be happy with the process. I can virtually guarantee it.